All right, you know what? Jessica is so into this. This all originated from the heart and mind of Jessica Holmes. Makes it all the more interesting. You want to learn about Los Angeles and the history of our fine city and interesting things you did not know, and you want to do it in a relatively quick fashion.
Yes, and I always go to you for that, because Sam actually knows a lot about Los Angeles. But these videos that I found on Instagram, they shine a light on the history of Los Angeles with food, culture, sports, all things LA, and it's only a minute. And here to tell us all about it, it launched in January. Now over 20 million views on TikTok and Instagram is creator Evan Lovett. Hi, Evan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. Wonderful to be here.
Oh, my gosh. So you grew up here. You're an Angelino. You're proud of your hometown. How did this whole idea start?
So born and raised in Sepulveda, which is now North Hills. My parents instilled in me a love of Los Angeles from a young age. They used to take me on excursions around the city, Griffith Park, Hollywood, Venice, Dodger Stadium. I learned to love the city, the culture, the diversity. Stayed local for college, went to UCLA, got into journalism, which combined, you know, my passion for learning and sort of telling people these interesting tidbits. Flash forward to me having a son. Always fighting for screen time, right? There's not a lot of great content. I'm always like, you got to watch something, you need to learn something. So we made a deal. You want screen time tomorrow, you need to learn something today.
Love it.
And then I try to instill in him the love of Los Angeles, and me, I still get a newspaper, so I'd be reading him the things that went on in Los Angeles. He's not too into a newspaper as kids, you know, these days, you can imagine. So it's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to launch a feed where I read, you know, 2 or 3 things that happen in Los Angeles and get it in a minute and put it on TikTok, and thus LA in a Minute was born.
Love it.
All right, so you've had over 200 have been produced. Which are the ones that have really taken off?
So In-N-Out was a big one. Foods that were invented in Los Angeles. Steepest Street, helicopters. Why does LA have so many?
We have the most helicopters in all of the United States. In the world or U.S.?
In the United States, in all of North America.
Okay.
And as you guys probably know, the newscopter was invented by KTLA, former engineer John D. Silva.
Oh my God.
He gave KTLA a shout out on that. Now back to the In-N-Out though, did you learn a little cool tidbit about In-N-Out?
In-N-Out's a really cool story. So 1948, Harry and Esther Snyder, they moved down from Washington. They wanted to open a burger place because Harry had worked at a burger place in Washington. And now they, you know, focus on the freshest ingredients, and that is very true. They opened in Baldwin Park, but Harry would go down every day to downtown to get fresh meat, fresh produce, which obviously still stands to this day. But what made In-N-Out special was Harry had the foresight. LA is based around the car culture. He knew that people would want to eat in their cars. He was a tinkerer. In his garage, he came up with and created a 2-way speaker, which ended up being the first drive-through.
Oh, wow.
And that's what, that along with the high quality of the food, is what really made In-N-Out shine and, you know, stand.
All right, Steepest Street, I feel I've been on it.
Okay, so there are some very steep streets in LA, but #1 is Eldridge Street in Mount Washington, 33.3% grade, which is insane. It's only 350 feet, the street.
It's straight up.
Just walking up it, and you, look, I try to stay fairly fit, but walking up it is a little bit of a challenge. And then at the top, just for extra masochism, they have a stairway on top going up another few hundred steps on top of that. But yeah.
Oh, okay, this I'm curious about because I was a traffic reporter. So moving here from another state, why do we put the in front of our freeway? The 101, the 405.
So
they don't do that in other. We don't do that in other states.
That's a great one. So Los Angeles had the first freeways. Again, car culture, so important to Los Angeles. And they were, Arroyo Seco was the first freeway. But the freeways back then were named, you know, the Pasadena Freeway, the Harbor Freeway, the San Diego Freeway. Now, when the other states in the United States caught up, Dwight D. Eisenhower kind of tried to codify all of the freeway system, and they were numbered to keep it organized, to keep people, you know, aware of where the freeways were going. But the habit was already ingrained in LA. You would say the San Diego Freeway, so now they call it the 405. So you just call it the 405. Hollywood Freeway, the Hollywood Freeway became the 101. So that stayed with LA people ever since then.
You did one about trash, and somehow I think the word Mountain Gate is going to come up in this.
Well, perhaps that is a landfill and a famous landfill. But first, every single person in Los Angeles produces an average of 4.8 pounds of trash per day per person, which is insane. So where does all that trash go? In the landfills. It's private companies that sort the trash, and we recycle, upcycle, and turn into power about 65% of that trash. But the other 39%, which is 7,000 tons a day, just at the Sunshine Canyon landfill alone, there's like 20 different landfills, all gets buried. But an interesting thing about the history of trash, LA didn't have a Bureau of Sanitation until the 1890s, and all that Bureau of Sanitation did was dispose of dead animals. And it wasn't until a person named J.G. McLean, kid you not, pushed for a more organized way to get rid of the trash. And then they started doing incinerators, which seemed like a good idea, but led to all the pollution that LA had in the 50s and everything.
Okay.
So finally, we started doing trash trucks and a little bit more, you know, recycling and things of that nature.
Okay, you just are a wealth of knowledge. Before we go, any cool tidbits that you can just throw at us that you learned kind of discovering all this stuff
Sure. A
about
cool
LA?
one that I think is the foods that were invented in Los Angeles. There's so many of them, but 3 that are kind of near and dear to my heart. The cheeseburger was invented by...
We can claim it?
We claim the cheeseburger.
Nice.
A guy named John Sternberger at a place called The Right Spot in Pasadena in 1924 was the first to think to put a slice of cheese melted on a hamburger. And it was so successful, obviously, that it was national news. And there's clippings. And I also want to say French dip, as you know,
Yes.
Philippe's and Cole's. I'm not going to pick sides. They
Okay.
both have good stories. And then lastly, and more recently, the food truck magnate, the legend Roy Choi, the Korean taco. And that's basically, in my mind, why food trucks had the popularity they did in 2008. But that all started right here in Los Angeles.
Love it,
Evan's got a lot
Evan.
to talk about.
Yeah. So go to Instagram, TikTok. You can follow Evan, his series called LA in a Minute. Thanks, Evan. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Quick break here. We're back in a couple minutes. You can go online and enjoy LA in a minute. Anyway, thanks again.
Thanks.
Thank you.